Welcome to both of you this morning. Greg, I want to start with you. Where does this bill stand in Springfield?
It's ready for a vote in the full House. Then it would go on to the Senate.
It has run into serious opposition in the past, especially from African-American lawmakers who have objected to it on moral grounds. Is that changing?
I think it is. I think people are realizing that you talk about civil unions, which is basic contractual rights, basic fairness issues for couples in a committed relationship. It's not addressing the issue of same-sex marriage, for example.
Peter, where does the Thomas More Law Center stand on this bill?
Well, the Thomas More Society, we look at this in a different way. First off, it's being called civil unions, but this is unlike other civil unions bills in that it is essentially the same as gay marriage. So this, even though we're calling it, in fact, the name of the act is the Religious Freedom Protection and Civil Union Act, except there's no real protection for religious freedom, and it's about gay marriage.
Great.
Well, I would say that the religious freedom aspect is that we make it very clear in the Act that no church or faith community has to consecrate a civil union if it's outside their faith and tradition. On the other hand, should it be within their faith and tradition, they have the freedom to do so. So, we're trying to overcome the objection that somehow this is forcing churches to do something which it does not.
Well, just because you don't have to perform the actual gay marriage ceremony doesn't mean then that your hiring practices are not impacted. You could have Catholic schools being forced to hire teachers who are in homosexual relationships. You could have, as well, Catholic charities having to do gay adoptions.
Peter?
Well, honestly, we would go to court to try to fight it, but just with the way
it seems like a bit of a leap from the legislation as described. I mean, do you see that as a possibility?
There's nothing in the legislation that addresses employment whatsoever. It just addresses certain basic facts of contractual law that people would have in a relationship. The right to sharing in healthcare decision-making, the right to visiting a partner in a hospital, the right to probate if a person died without a will.
So, Peter, how does that lead to hiring?
Well, the problem is this. In Illinois law, we have in over 500 different places the word spouse or the equivalent. And this act changes all of those places. So there are acts that you probably have never heard of that are going to be changed because of this particular bill that the representative has brought up.
But again, I ask, how does it impact hiring?
Well, think of it this way. You can't discriminate against someone based on marital status. Now, that's a fine and good thing when you're talking about natural marriage. But if you are talking about something that a large portion, both of the African-American community, of Catholic and evangelical communities object to, and they object to their teachers or particularly to providing adoptions to homosexual couples or what have you, they no longer can make those objections, and they're going to be forced to participate in that.
There's nothing in there that forces them. We don't change the adoption code. We don't change the employment code. And I think these are sort of red herrings.
Let's talk a little bit about the decision in Iowa. On Monday, same-sex marriage begins in the state of Iowa, right next door to Illinois, the first Midwestern state to allow same-sex marriages. What impact do you think that might have here in the state of Illinois?
When talking to my colleagues, they see that this is not, for instance, California or Massachusetts. This is a state just like Illinois, a Midwestern state, where the Supreme Court has decided that you cannot discriminate against people simply because they happen to have a different sexual orientation than you do. So I think it shows that values of fairness and equality are something that are spreading across the country.
Peter, how do opponents view what's happening in Iowa?
Well, it's a raw act of judicial tyranny. This is not like Greg's bill because this is judges telling the people of Iowa, here is your law now. They didn't get an opportunity to vote on it. Their representatives didn't get an opportunity to debate it. They were not able to have the vigorous public discourse that is the hallmark of a representative democracy like the United States of America. So in that sense, Greg's bill is a better way to do this than to have some group of judges just say, no, you can't do it. We're going to overturn 6,000 years of history.
Well, could it be done judicially here in Illinois?
I'm not a lawyer. I defer there. I think you could go to...
Are there cases going through the courts that could engender this type of decision?
I don't believe so.
No, not in Illinois. I think in Illinois we're trying to do this through the legislative process so that no one can come back and say, that, well, this was done by the judiciary or whatever. This will be done in Illinois by a vote of the General Assembly.
Well, with the law change in Iowa, are we going to see a lot of people from Illinois going to Iowa to get married?
If they do and they come back to Illinois, they're going to find that those marriages marriages are not valid here in this state if they happen to be same-sex couples.
So the protections offered in Iowa, obviously not offered here. It would be more ceremonial, symbolic.
Marriage is decided in the United States on a state-by-state basis, and either does or does not transfer based on the policy of your
So,
home
Peter,
state.
do you see some equivalency in the bill Greg is sponsoring to the legalization of marriage in Iowa?
Well, certainly, and but again, I mean, Greg's bill it has vast changes in a lot of different areas that we are not even aware of all of yet. But it's very similar to what happened in Iowa. It's just the thing that Greg's bill is going to do is at least it would go through the elected representatives. I would like to see a vote of the people of Illinois. Why not put it to the people and let them vote directly?
Greg, very
on the
quickly,
next
is that
ballot?
likely?
We don't have a binding referenda in Illinois. That's not a process that is.
How likely
But you
is a
could-
vote on your bill this session?
I think it's very likely.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much.